Hi, I'm Miss Lisa, the sewing lady from Pinellas Park, Florida, United States of America. For all of you, the days are absolutely cold here. Believe it or not, 60 Fahrenheit or 16 Celsius for us is on the cool, cold side because we actually got dry weather. As you can see, our associate and co-instructor is sitting here. If anyone has a doubt why it takes me so long to get things done, well, guess who wants to sit right in the middle of what we're doing? And see, true to form on my papers. So I can't do my job. All right, thank you, Xavier. See, he just wanted everybody to see him. All right, we're going to get right down to this. I hope everyone has their measurements on hand. I'm using my measurements to do this. You use your measurements. It's very important that you use your measurements. But what I am going to give you is what number the measurement is for each dot you put on your paper. And I'm going to give you some measurements. Well, all the measurements should be in your size, not mine. I don't believe there's any that are a guess here. Okay. Now, for mine, I have started my neckline at 5.5 inches from my, 3.5 inches from my line. I made a line across the very top of my paper. If you're working from the edge of your paper, just work from the edge of your paper. I'm using good old wrapping paper, which goes a long ways. So that's why I did that. Okay, that particular measurement is the one that goes from your shoulder seam to the base of your neck. It's very important you get that one in there. This is an exact for your neck. This is not going to be your finished collar area. Okay. The other measurement you're going to do, and it'll be the other edge, is you're going to go in in my case it's 4 inches in, and this should be your measurement number 6. That first measurement that I did was number 21. We'll come back to that one. Alright, from that 6 to the other end, which is your shoulder measurement, still 6, you want to draw a line. That's going to be your shoulder seam. Now here comes that other stuff that you're all like, oh no. Alright. When we made measurements, we did one for our waist, we did them for our bust, and so on. So what we want to do is go down to 24A and just go straight across as best you can. Helps if you got a good straight edge, and make a line there. That's probably the bust measurement, and that is very much one that you need to put in. Then you go down, and originally we did our waist measurement from about the middle of our shoulder seam, and then we came down to our waist measurement. Now the waist measurement is going to be 1/4 of your whole waist. And when we did our front waist, you can take that number and do it 1/2. I know that sounds confusing, but it really isn't. All it means is patterns are made 1/4 of your full measurements or 1/2 of just your front. The next line you're going to want to do, hips are normally 7 inches to 9 inches below your waist. I'm actually a lucky person and mine goes the very basic 7. And then you're going to go out, and this is measurement 5C. You're going to take half of 5C and go out. And you make that line. This is the most major part of the pattern. If you have those lines in, the rest of them are not so bad. Okay. Now, we're going to do the easy stuff first. The lines we put in, the 3 lines, we're going to draw lines from one to the next. Yes, on mine, you got to wonder what kind of body I really have. Because this is me. Looks kind of strange, even to me. Alright, there's an extra tool that I got. And it's a hide number. Oh, there it is. I know most of you may not have one. If you don't, freehand is not a dirty word. All it means is you're going to draw this little curve here for the neck. Me, I'm going to cheat a little bit. If I can get away with it. No, I can't. Yeah, maybe I can. There we go. Okay. And this is your neck. Okay. The next one that's a little different. It's number 20A. And you want to put it, it should be even with 21. Do not make a line between the two. Just make the point there. Now you're saying to yourself, well, if I make those lines, it's going to look wrong. That's okay. Because what you're going to do is just make those points. And this is a guideline. For those of you that have extra tools that you can make the circular portion of an armhole, this is the time where you would go, I know mine would be too deep if I did that. So we move it out a little bit and it won't be perfect. But this is one you'll double check. This will just fit you like skin tight. No seams, no nothing. Skin tight. If you put it up against you, you will find that out. It won't be that useful just yet because the one thing we haven't added is ease. Ease is what makes it fit better. Part of ease is your seams. Now, you don't need ease for your shoulder. You just need a seam. I prefer to use a 1/4 inch seam. Some people want 5/8. Some people want something in between. Whatever seam width you prefer. Do that now. What you're going to do is you're going to measure away from the line on your shoulder seam. And you're going to make a mark. Eventually I will. And then you're going to make a line. And that will be your seam width. Like I said, everybody has their own choice for that. I prefer a 1/4, but then I've been sewing a long time, so I'm pretty good at doing that part. Okay, your armhole is another area where it's not so much ease, it's where you like your armhole to set. Some people like one cut in a little bit more, some like it cut out a little bit more. This is where that measurement came in, where we did the one going across the front. If you did it and you felt it was too narrow, widen it out a little bit. And then just make sure that you have enough added on for your seam. Whatever number you pick for your seam allowance, you will add. In my case, I'm still going to add a quarter. And I found I'm very lucky because this ruler actually has 1/4 inch marked on it. And I'm just going to go down, go across, do all those, and I will come back to doing this piece here. The other area that we did already, we're going to make our lines so they come straight out. This is just seam allowance at this time. Okay, you're going to say, why am I doing seam allowance now instead of later? Well, I found it was easier to do it here because you'll do it again later. But if I have it out here now, I've already figured it in for my ease. So when I add ease, I know I'm adding enough. Okay. Ease is what you want it to be. Now remember when we did those wonderful measurements of sitting down measurements, and I told you that's your real measurements? Well, there are a lot of different theories on what is ease for each area. Some people say 1 to 2 for the bust, 3 to 4 for the waist, and for your hips you can have like 3 or more. This is a personal preference. It depends on how loose you want your clothes. If you want them on the very loose side, I would recommend for underarm right here, don't go out too far. Otherwise you've got this big armhole and it hangs way down, your bra shows. I don't think you want that. So for me, I like to add about 2 inches. Okay, and from that little point that we have right here, we're going to go out 2 whole inches, but from the seam allowance. And we're just going to make a line straight across. Okay, waist. Frankly, I like a little more room. Not everybody does. Me personally, 5 inches. 5 inches means I can sit down in it, and I just like it bigger. Someday, maybe, I'll think different. Today, no. So we went out 5 inches there. Hip. Hip is what you want. Me, if it's 5 there, it's 6 there. So we go all the way out, and we got our lines. Okay, that seems kind of big to some of you. Some of you might only want this much more, which is like 1 inch. And some people might not want this much. Just remember, it's what's comfortable for you. When you put this pattern up to you, you're going to mark it off and you're going to see where it sits. If it sits where you want it, it's fine. If you want it a little narrower, take it off, take 1 inch off. See what 1 inch does. Take it off a little bit at a time. Do not take off big chunks. If you do, you'll make it too small and you have to start over again. Who wants to do it twice? Okay, so for this one I need a bigger ruler. See what happens? Bigger measurements, bigger ruler. So here again, we do this. We just get all of our dots. Yeah, mine kind of tensed out a little bit, but I like them that way. What can I say? I could do a straight dress down, but this one, it kind of looks like a moo-moo on me. That's why I don't like the straight. Okay. this here, this armhole, should come out a little bit more. And since we'd already did this guy, this rounded guy here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it out just a little bit. I'm going to keep my seam line from up here, and I'm just going to have this little bit move out to there. The reason I'm not adding a whole lot to this is because I don't think I need a whole lot. And make sure that they all come together. Now, not right at the moment, but when we're done, I want you to cut everything out. Cut it right to the lines here, okay? And I want you to see where everything sits. The neckline here is going to be like right here, okay? That can be changed, and we will change it at some point, but not at the moment. We're just going to get this to see, does it fit you? So, this is down to your hips. We didn't go all the way down on your dress because only you know how long you want your dress. For those who want to have a pegged style dress, I did my homework, and the measurement for the hem is the same measurement as your waist. So that's how they make that measurement. It's fairly narrow. For walking, I always suggest maybe putting a cutout in there or something so you have a little kick, like a kick pleat or whatever. But if you don't know what that is, don't worry. We'll talk about it eventually. These measurements end up 1/4 of your body. Any measurements that go from front, side to side, it's half of those measurements. Very important you remember this. Now, for those of you who want to get it to your dress length, go from the middle of your shoulder and go as far down as your dress goes that you want. You know mine is 40 inches. I'm not going to do mine because I ran out of room, which does happen when you have a place like this. Okay? But you can take yours all the way down. You can measure it from this front seam here. This is your middle seam. And I am going to direct you to make this particular marking. This marking is you make a C, and then you put little arrows at the very end of them. And what that means is that will be on the fold. Now when you have fabric, it usually comes off the bolt, fold it in half. If it doesn't, you're going to fold it in half. When you fold it in half, that can be your center front line. You can do the same with your back on a lot of patterns. This particular one, the way I have mine set up, probably won't need a zipper, won't need buttons, nothing. It'll be over your head, put it on and walk away, or put a belt on, depending on how big you made it. But very simple, okay? This is going to be a sleeveless dress. I'm not going to get into sleeves. And we will get into how to finish our seams. That's going to be an important part. For those who want to get all jumping and ahead of me, the only thing I can mention to you is figure out where you want your neckline to go. I don't like it this low, okay? I think a lot of you women are the same. Some of you might want it there. I like mine a little higher. So you measure from that little hollow to where you want your neckline to be. For me, it's about that much below it. And in this instance, it will be 3.5 inches below my 3.5 inches. Wow. So, I'm going to go down 3.5 inches as soon as I find it. And this might help too. Okay. 2, 3, mine's going to be about here. Now when you get that, this is where you get choices. Do you want a V-neck? If you want a V-neck, you go up to that little dot you have, not the seam allowance, but the actual shoulder one. That's the one 1/4 inch in. And you just make a mark to there. Me, I'm probably going to make a more rounded one. That one takes a little more work, but this is what I normally do for this. I bring my line out. And yes, a lot of hand drawing over the years has made it so I can do this. For those of you who wonder, do I still design things? Yes, I do. And because I design, there's a lot of things like this that I would probably be doing. I'll probably round this off when I go for my final cut. But for right now, this is good enough. For those of you who wonder, do I still design? This is my son David's cosplay. Now, costume play is something that's very popular around the world. It goes by a lot of different names, but cosplay is the one I know. This is part of his suit, his armor, and it had to be designed a certain way because it becomes all one piece, and then it has to have a little slit in the back, and this is called a comma, and it is part of a Mandalorian armor suit. It's very important to get it correctly because where he's going to be wearing it, everyone is exactly true to Star Wars design. Very, very important. So, yes, I had to sit down and figure this out. I have not done measurements for it yet. Otherwise, we'd have down in the corner the little measurements we need, and I would probably do a little bit more on here just to keep in mind different things. So, just so you know, yes, I still do a bit of design work, not as much as I used to. I do have a small portfolio, but you might get to see it someday. Who knows? Okay, we're going to take a short moment off here, and I thought today would be a really good day to show you how to thread a sewing machine. I'm going to do 2 different sewing machines. I'm going to do this guy right here, who's a Kenmore, and this is a Japanese made for all of those. This is a non-singer, but the singers, for the most part, except the one that I am going to show, are threaded approximately the same. Most of you have a more modern singer. It is done the same way. Different thing, your bobbin, but we'll work on that part for you. So, I'm going to take a break. I need to get a chair to do this with, and we'll be back in 1 second. We're back again. Now, this is my Kenmore. I just got this one on Sunday. I'm rather happy with it because I love Kenmores. They are my favorites. Don't tell my singer group, but I do love my Kenmores. This one actually has a bunch of stitches in it, and I checked them out this morning and everything works. That's a good moment. Alright, this particular model and many of the non-singers all do the same thing. Now, they all have something up here to hook into. On a Kenmore, you can hear a click every time you go into a hook. I like that point. Always hold the thread up here like this. That way you're not pulling too much thread through. You're not wasting it. Not that you can't, but you know. Alright, down here, it would be hard for him to show you, but on this side, there are 2 little discs here. And you always want to be between them. On this guy, it has like a little finger. If yours has a finger, as long as you stay close to the finger, you're fine. Then you bring it up and around. And see that little wire piece there? It's got to go all the way up there until you hear it click. Then the next place is this little hook here. Now, I do realize that all sewing machines are not identical, but they have the same theory to them. Why do they have the same theory? Because that's the way they're made, and that's the way they can get you to buy more sewing machines. Now, this particular model has, if you can see it right here, you can see a slit there. And in order to get your thread into that slit, you pull all the way back, and then you wrap around, and then you're going to be back in there. If it's slipping down like mine is, all you got to do is bring this down and it'll fall right where it belongs. Then I got two little pieces here. Now technically this machine is made so you can use two threads. And if you're using the left spool, you go in the left spot. If you're using the right spool, you go into the right spot. Now, every sewing machine always has 2,000,001 little places to hook in. The reason you don't want to miss anybody is called tension. And in this case, this is the one that my fingers have trouble getting it in, because it's very tiny, but it's the one nearest my needle. You always want to do the one nearest your needle, because that keeps the thread going nice and even in here. So this is when we thread our needle, and with most of the sewing machines, they thread from the front to the back. We do have some that don't. I actually have one that goes a weird way, and well, as you can figure, I gotta have one that's gotta be an oddball. The next thing is doing the bobbin. Putting a bobbin in on a Japanese model, it always hangs on your right. If it looks like a 9, it's fine. Then it goes in like this. Now, holding some of the thread this way, there's going to be a little slit right here. You want to come through there, and you want to bring it around until it goes all the way up through here. If it doesn't go all the way up through there, it's not going to sew right. So this little thingy here is a little finger, is what it's called. You hang on to that. As long as you hang on to that, look, the bobbin won't go away. And then you put it in here, and you always want to hear this thing click. If you're not sure if you clicked in, take it out, spin it over to one side, and then turn it, and it will eventually make that click sound like you just heard. If you hear the click, it's in. Then you rotate your hand wheel over here. Always bring it towards you unless I tell you different. And what you're doing is you're bringing up the bottom thread, and see, it came right up. You pull it through, and this is important. Always leave enough behind, and always bring your threads down between the toes and bring it there. Now here's a moment just for everybody. See this rectangle where the foot is? That is the area you do not go into. Alright? If you stick your finger in there, that's your mistake. I've told you, don't do that. If you stay outside this rectangle, you'll never get bit by your sewing machine. You stick your finger in on it, and you hit the pedal, you're going to sew your finger. So, the rectangle is out of bounds. Everything around it, it's good. Alright. And that's all it takes for that one. Now, give me 1 second. We're going to switch out, and we're going to go to one more sewing machine, and then we're going to cut for the day. So, give me 1 minute. Okay. This is for you people in Africa that do have the butterfly. This is a Singer sewing machine that you have. See, it has your tension That's really important. The tension is here. If you noticed on the other machine, the tension was in front. This one, it's a kind of weird the way it goes, but there's a little dip here. You want your thread to go through there, and then you go around between the discs, and this one does have a little toe there for you to work with. Stay between the discs. Remember there was a wire there? You go around this little thing here, okay? And you go all the way back until the thread comes through that point. Then you want to come through this hole, and coming in from the back is not always easy to see for me. And then you pull your thread up. If your tension is good, you should be able to pull this up, especially if you have your needle at the highest point. If it's at the lowest point, it won't pull as easy. Now you go from there, you come down, and there's a spot here. You need to bring it in so it sticks right in this hole. Now some people just thread it through, but you don't have to. You slide it way back here and it comes out over there. Now on this one, the hook is over here. And why is that? Well, Miss Lisa found out the hard way. Why? Because you thread from right to left. Most machines, you won't find that happening. But if you don't do it from right to left, you'll find your bobbin thread coming up in spots it's not supposed to. And you won't get a decent stitch. And this is a harder one for me to see because black and all that stuff. So just give me a moment and we'll get it in there. Yes, this is something that takes practice and better eyesight. For those of you who have no idea if you can do this part, there is certain little handy things out there that you can use that will help you do it. They're called needle threaders, and you can push one through it. See, mine going through. Eventually I do get it. Sometimes right away too. What? No, I pulled it out. Silly me. Alright, let's do that one more time. It is hard to see. See, I like the other sewing machines because I can see the needle hole. This one I have to guess. And I think, nope. Just when you think you got one, it gets away from you. Let's look from this side. Maybe I need to go this so I can see where it is. Maybe a little more light on the subject. Yes, that helps. You know, sometimes you forget these things are on them. I have one of these machines with no light. Yeah, definitely it's a daylight sewing machine. Because when you have to sew without the light, it is a problem. Don't do it in a dark room. Trust me, you'll never get a decent seam. Unless you're really, really good at it. And I think we got it this time. Yay! There. Now, here is the bobbin case. Same deal as the other one. If it's a 9, it's fine. Put it in. You want to bring it around your thread so it goes in that little crack there. Then, oh, my mistake. My mistake. This is the one that is not fine. This is a Q. Okay? Yeah, I know. Q. What a letter. Okay? And then it goes this way and around. And it comes out way over here. Okay? Now when you go to put this in, same deal. But look at your little finger there is on this side. But you do it the same way, see? Can't lose it. Then you reach in and you get it. There's a little pole in there. You get it on there and you listen for a click. If you're not sure if you got it where it's supposed to go, spin it and listen to that click. Can't miss it. Then you roll it forward and you bring it up. As you can see, Xavier's been here. There's a little fur in here. You pull this through and then you slide this guy shut and you put between the toes and out the back. You should have a good piece of thread there. If you don't put thread in the back, the thing that happens is the bottom thread or even the top thread gets stuck. And that's when your sewing machine gets all those little bunchies on the back and it stops and then you can't turn it and you got to take everything apart. So if you don't want to do that, follow that rule. Very important. And that's how we thread two kinds of sewing machines. Eventually, I will give you a different singer because there's another singer that has a bobbin right here. And you go in and it goes and it does all sorts of things. But we don't have one set up today. So, this is our show for the day. I'm glad you all joined me. And there's a couple things I gotta remind everybody. And as you know, Miss Lisa does not remember this part. So, let me read. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. It lets you know when I put a new video. And that way everybody's on the same page. You don't want to not miss something, so you do that. Click the thumbs up. Like my video. I hope you do. And leave a comment below. For those of you outside the U.S., it is and always will be 100% free. Do not feel subscription means pay. It is always free. Some people have been concerned about that. I never expect that because it was freely given to me. It's freely given to you. Always remember that and pass on what you learned. That's your gift to me. And thank you.